Hey, Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom, brothers of great Muslim. Charlotte coming at you with the Lord will and edifying lesson through the Holy Spirit. All right, before we get started with this lesson, as always, we want to give all praises, honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kodash. Double honors be unto the apostles, the elders of great Muslim, that have taught us this truth and that do rule well. Peace, blessings, and mercy as always be unto the house of David, Habayaf, the hopeful elect to you all. Say Shalom.
Shalom.
As we are now in observation of the high holy day, CHAANAKAH, all right, which is to commemorate the Maccabees overcoming the Greek invasion and standing stiffly for righteousness, standing stiffly for the ordinances and commandments of Yahweh Shemel Shai. Just reading throughout the week, there has always been a stance against the idols of the heathen, and vice versa. The idols have always stood against Yahweh Shemel Shai. Okay, and as we look at the times and seasons that we're in right now, it's no different. So, as we pull from parallels of our ancient foreparents, it's important to see ourselves in their positions. Can we get Job 8 and 8 right quick, bro?
Okay. This is Job chapter 8 and verse 8. And it says, For inquire, I pray thee, of the former age, and prepare thyself to the search of their fathers.
Right. Inquire of the former age, inquire of the ancient ways, right? Where there is life, where there is confidence, where there is a relationship with Yahweh Bashem Al Shai, and adherence to his will and adherence to what it is that's going on, to be lockstep with what it is that's happening, right? Because again, as we're going to make parallels in this through the Holy Spirit, right, of the ancient kingdoms and their stance against Yahweh Bashem El Shai, it's no different now. All of these heathen nations have always stood against Yahweh Bashem El Shai. They've always stood against the children of Israel. We're always referenced as a nation of people, right, that had ways outside of the other nations, right? And the other nations have always sought to overthrow our connection to Yahweh Bashem Shai. But let's go ahead and start in Daniel, the third chapter, where we'll make a connection to the time of the ancient Babylonian Empire.
Okay. Daniel 3 and what verse?
I'll start at verse 1. We'll read down to verse 11.
Okay. This is Daniel chapter 3 and verse 1. And it says, Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold, whose height was 3 cubits, and the breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set it up in the plain of Dura, in the province of Babylon. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king sent to gather together the princes, the governors, and the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces to come to dedicate of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up.
Right, right. So what we see happening here, right, under the decree of Nebuchadnezzar, he has now assembled unto himself pretty much all of the different high ranking officials to commemorate the establishment of this idol. And we see that that's happening right now with this technocrat system that's being set before us. We see the assembly of governors, high ranking officials, uh, left hand sorcerers, right? These various technocrats all assembling themselves, for their dedication of this new idol that they're preparing to set up on the earth, right? For this new way that they're preparing to establish, right? As going back to the inauguration ceremony, what did Trump say? Right, we've entered into a golden age, right? And with that golden age comes the establishment, right, of the idol, right? The MOTB. We're seeing that infrastructure be set up before our very eyes right now. Okay.
Verse 3. Then the princes, the governors, and captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces were gathered together unto the dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. And they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Then an herald cried aloud, To you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up.
Mm-hmm.
And whoso falleth not down and worship shall the same hour be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace.
Yep. And this is the provision that was set, right? Is that if you do serve the idol, your ass won't die. Okay. And that is the exact same thing that we're preparing to see in these times, right? When Esau really fortifies the establishment of the MOTB, there's not going to be a way for you to really wiggle around in primary markets, secondary markets, any type of market that you may try to get into, right? You're not going to have access to goods and services in this system, okay? And that's going to pretty much put a lot of people into a position of mind where they're going to be willful to submit because nobody wants to die lest they have the faith of Yahweh Bashem Shai to give them the strength and courage to see past this, to see through it, I should say. Right? You got anything, bro?
Oh, you said go down to verse 11?
Yeah, we're going to keep reading down to verse 11.
Okay. I go to verse 8. It says, the subtitle, Worship of the Image Refused.
Mm-hmm.
It says,
Did you read verse 7?
Verse 7, I'm going to read it. It says, verse 7, Daniel 3 and 7. Therefore, at that time, when all the people heard the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and all kinds of music, all the people, the nations, and the languages fell down and worshipped the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up.
Now, you got to think, too. These are people from all different, again, it says all people, nations, languages. These are people that already have their own gods, their own idols. You think that they just were willful in terms of, oh man, I gotta forego my idols and I gotta submit to this one? No, they likely were fearful of the fact that they would lose their lives if they did not bow to this idol. And it's no different now. Okay. When the mark of the beast is presented, a lot of people will say that they're not going to take it. But as the scriptures speak about the hour of temptation, those that will be preserved are those that are in servitude to Yahweh Bashem Shai. Those that are not, shit, you likely to do anything. Keep reading.
Verse 8. It says, wherefore, at that time, certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews.
And this is what we're going to come into, right? We're going to come into a time where the church will be persecuted. Why is that? Keep reading.
They spake and said to the king Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. Thou, O king, hast made a decree that every man that shall hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, shall fall down and worship the golden image.
Mm-hmm.
And whoso falleth not down and worship, that he should be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace.
Yep. Now read verse 12 as well.
Mm-hmm. There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy powers, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up.
Mm-hmm. All right. So again, in these times that we're coming into, we see that stance is made clear, right? We're seeing that the stance against this hegemony is being made evident because of our unwillingness to waver in the sight of adversity, right? With Esau preparing this NWO, he's trying to call the people, right? He's trying to make them submit themselves to his image, right? His revival of the ancient Roman Empire that's being solidified in the earth, right? Alongside the establishment of his idol, right? Which is that mark of the beast, that badge of submission to his system in which you have now pretty much made him to be your God, right? So as we see the times and seasons that we're in, as the brother Yeshaya had shared in his lesson, Canada is starting to restructure Bible verses, the different things that are happening across different sectors of political people enforcing or wanting to enforce the death penalty and things of that nature, bringing back hangings and things like that. They're not doing this for no reason, okay? Because there is a stage that's being set where you're going to have to choose between serving the Most High or cleaving to the world. So, as we see the stance against the idols of the heathen, it's no different than what we saw back then. It's happening now. Um, let's jump to Revelations 13 and 15, Baba Kusha, unless you have something.
Can I have something quick? It's
All right.
Amos chapter 5 and verse 10. And it says, they hate him that rebuketh in the gate, and they abhor him that speaketh uprightly. And pretty much, land back on your point, because Esau Edom is essentially standing for, his NWO, and those that essentially oppose, the NWO, he's going to essentially have the eye on them, as pursuant to Isaiah 59 and 15. Those that essentially depart from evil make themselves a prey. So, and that's because ultimately, the prophets don't stand for the NWO. We're looking after righteousness.
Yep.
You said Revelation 13.
Yep.
This is Revelation chapter 13 and verse 15, and it says, "And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all."
Salakia, read that once more.
God, Revelation 13 and 15. "And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed."
Mm-hmm. All right. Again, the image of the beast. What is the image of the beast? The image of the beast, the reflection, right? The mirroring reflection of the ancient Roman Empire that's been revitalized, right? That's been reintroduced into the earth is now being rooted. It's been on the earth, but now it is being rooted in a fashion in which it's deeply woven into every fabric of living, right? And the further it grows in terms of its power and authority, it's going to eventually reach a point to where if you don't abide by its system, if you don't abide by the rules, the laws and legislation, the regulations and things of that nature, you will be cut off. Right? You can be physically killed, but both figuratively by being cut off from access to goods and services in society, the normalcies of life. Okay? Keep reading.
Verse 16. "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a charagma in their right hand or in their foreheads."
Right. And as we often go into, right, that word for causeth, right, is to constitute. Right. So what are we seeing? We're seeing data hubs being set up across the United States. We're seeing changes to the laws and legislations tied to energy. We're seeing going all the way back to Roe versus Wade, bodily autonomy being thrown out the window. Right. We're seeing all of these things that are being done in process of steps to where when he introduces the mark of the beast, when he constitutes that, it's going to be in a way in which there's no wiggle room, right? He's going to constitute it for small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive the mark, to receive the RFID microchip. And we're seeing that that stage is being set up right now. Okay. And that's that process where, again, as I had discussed, the culling, right? Taking the people through hell. And when he presents this, it's going to be seen as a solution. It's going to be seen as beneficial to the lives of the people when it's really not. Let's jump to First Maccabees 1 and verse 42. Unless you have something.
Bye.
No.
This is First Maccabees chapter. I'm sorry, verse 41.
Yeah, start at 41.
First Maccabees 1 and 41. It says, "Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people."
Pause right there. Pause right there. What do we see that's happening? We're seeing the establishment of a new world order, right? Where the intent is for everyone to come together, right? Under one credence, under one religion, a one world governance. It's no different. That which is then is now. Keep reading.
Verse 42. "And everyone should leave his laws." So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath.
And that's going to be the same thing that happens in these times, right? And you got guys of the circumcision that are telling you that, oh, the heathen can make it. Oh, we'll be here for 1,000 years. Saying all types of crazy shit, you know? And it's no different than what had happened back then, because the circumstances in which these people face when their faith is brought into question, it really doesn't actually have substance. Okay? These people that go along to get along. They don't have no real courage. They don't have no real strength. Keep reading.
Verse 44. "For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days."
Now, when I think about that in a modern sense, I think about when you have to go on certain apps, certain websites that are necessary for you to really function on a higher level in society, i.e., Google, social media, different sites like that. And what do they ask you? They ask you about terms and conditions. Now, these terms and conditions are liable to change. Nobody reads that shit. They're just worried about using the service that's associated with that. Okay. And that's the exact same thing that's happening, right? Esau is passing out terms and conditions. He's revising all of these different terms and conditions on these sites, right? Oh, if you speak out like this, we could actually take your IP address and we could find your ass and we could put you in jail. Oh, if you speak against the establishment of the administration that's currently in office, you could be seen as a domestic T. And oh, sorry, if you don't want us to use your information, too bad, too sad, nigga. We already have it written in the terms and conditions. Sorry. And this is all a way of culling and bringing the people into submission, because a lot of people are going to be fearful to even speak. That's what we're seeing right now, right? As we have right here. Matter of fact, I'll grab it right quick because it's on time in the spirit. This is Psalms chapter 94 and verse 16. Who will rise up for me against the evildoers, or who will stand up for me against the workers of iniquity? A lot of people are not in that spirit to do that because they're fearful of what they'll lose, right? When the king sent out these messengers, think about the spirit that evoked. That evoked change. Not a change in a sense of willful change, but mandated enforcement, mandated subjection. You keep reading to verse 50.
First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 46. It says, "And pollute the sanctuary and the holy people, set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts, that they should also leave their children uncircumcised, and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation, to the end they might forget the law and change all the ordinances. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said, should die.
Right. He said he should die. Right. So the threat of death is being weighed against integrity in all of these senses, in all of these situations. Right. It's all being weighed against integrity. Right. Let's grab that definition right quick for the word integrity. So my shit bugging out right now.
I can get it.
No, I got it right here. The definition of integrity in the Free Dictionary says steadfast adherence to a strict moral or ethical code. The state of being unimpaired soundness, right? When you go into that word unimpaired, it means not reduced or weakened in strength or quality. It says unity, wholeness, completeness. That's pretty much it. But again, this is what's being tested, right? The moral code that you have. And this is what the goal of these elites is. How can they break these people's moral code? Because a lot of these people, they know they don't want to take that motherfucking mark of the beast, just like how they didn't want to take that juice packet. But when life got hard and things started to get tight and people were faced with real life circumstances, their judgment was super skewed to where they just said, fuck it, I'm gonna just go ahead and put an inanimate object that I don't know shit about in my body from the goddamn devil. But this is the times that we're in, where the enemy is preparing to come in as a flood, and he's going to set laws and legislations, rules and regulations to impede on your ability to operate and function within what is a quote unquote normal life. And we have to have the faith to say, you know what? That doesn't matter. If we have to lose those things, you lose them. Because at the end of the day, that doesn't even come close to what it is that we're preparing to inherit. Let's go to Isaiah 59:14 real quick.
Mm-hmm. This is Isaiah chapter 59 and verse 14. And it
Do you
says,
by chance have the blue letter pulled up?
say what?
You have the blue letter pulled up?
Con, you want me to get a definition, a word or something?
Baba Kushar, read in the NLT.
Okay, Con. Isaiah 59:14 NLT, it says, our courts oppose the righteous, and justice is nowhere to be found. Truth stumbles in the streets, and honesty has been outlawed.
Right, and that's what comes with the establishment of these idols. That's what comes with the establishment of the heathen's hegemony, especially toward the tail end. Whenever we look through the tail end of these heathen and their hegemonies and their kingdoms, niggas is ultra boisterous, ultra proud. And the Lord smacked their ass. And what we're seeing happen at the tail end of Esau's hegemony, through his fear of being overtaken, he's doing what? He's outlawing the truth. He's putting together laws, mandates that go against the righteous. And justice is not justice in this man's kingdom. As we saw, it was I can't remember the fucking guy's name. I think he was the border czar. But that nigga got caught up in an FBI sting where he was accepting bribery. Tom Hammond. And what did they do? Oh, that wasn't technically bribery. We don't know what you're talking about. Like, niggas, we got documentation.
Right.
God damn. But this is just what it is. This is not a land of justice. This is not a place where true justice is handled. You have people in high-ranking positions that are easily bribed. You have people in high-ranking positions that want to see wickedness flourish so that
Right.
they can continue to be in power. Read verse 15.
Kind of like to land back, that's again, that's why we see a lot of people that's in different type of leadership positions. A lot of times they be the ones that's caught up in these different, it might be a trafficking ring, or it might be they might be getting busted down for something like embezzlement. When they stand for a certain specific standard, in the background, they doing some type of wickedness. And this system is essentially, it was rooted in lies, as pursuant to Nahum the third chapter.
Yep. Shit, just to kind of, touch on that a little bit. You know what I mean? These people that are, leaders and high ranking position, it always be these niggas, these fucking Edomites touching kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Sycamore Brewing in Charlotte.
Lie.
So it's the beer company.
Mm-hmm.
You may,
Oh,
you
Yep, yep.
you may have seen them in the stores, but the CEO or the co-owner, they just caught this nigga up where he raped a 13-year-old girl. You know what I'm saying? Like these guys, these fucking people in these positions of power, they be raping kids, got child pornography, all type of crazy shit. But when we bring out the truth of the gospel, these fucking guys over here. Like, damn, you ain't worried about the nigga that just raped the kid? But that feeds to verse 15. Go ahead and read that.
Isaiah 59:15, it says, "Yet truth faileth, and he that departed from evil maketh himself a prey. And the Lord saw it, and it displeased him that there was no judgment."
Right. The Lord is displeased to see the lack of true justice in the earth. Because those that are departing from evil, you depart from the ways of the world. And when you do so, you've now made yourself a prey. You've now been attacked because you've seen the stance of this world and how it's in opposition to the ways of righteousness. And you've now been labeled as public enemy number one. That ain't cool. But that's just the times that we're in. And again, despite that, to stand for righteousness' sake is good. It's good because Yahweh Shemal Shai zones in on those individuals like, oh, wow. Right? Think about what we read in the book of Second Esdras, right? Those that stood stiffly for the name of Yahweh Shemal Shai. That aspect isn't a light thing. To stand for righteousness that's very commendable because it's easy to just be in the mindset of go along to get along, but to actually forego, you know, the ways of this world to seek after righteousness, that's commendable. But let's get Wisdom of Solomon 3 and 9, and that'll be it.
God, this is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3. We'll get verse 9. And it says, "They that put their trust in him shall understand the truth, and such as be faithful in love shall abide with him. For grace and mercy is to his saints, and he hath care for his elect."
Right, grace and mercy is to his saints, the Israelites. The Lord has care for his elect, right? And there has always been an elect throughout time, right? As we read the examples during the time of the ancient Babylonians, during the time of the Greeks, during the time of now, the revival of the ancient Roman Empire, right? Esau, Edom being in power, right? There's always an elect, right? And grace and mercy is given to his saints, right? Salvation, right? So in these days, as our foreparents were preserved, so will we, right? But there's a hard stance against the idols of the heathen that comes with friction, and that friction, that clash, when it happens, eventually, us being rooted in the faith of Yahweh Shem Shai, we're going to have the wherewithal to be able to see through it and get through it. You got anything else?
Wow.
God. Hey, well, Lord willing, that was an edifying lesson through the Holy Spirit. We're going to close giving all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachahakodash. Double honors to the apostles, the elders, the great most on that have taught us the truth and that do rule well. Peace, blessings, and mercy be into the house of David. Habayaf, Dabadah, the hopeful elect to you all we say, Shalom.
Shalom.